Sooners of Oklahoma at 12-0 and still looking for respect nationwide.
What is going on, Sooner Nation? Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Barry Mack Show. As always, myself, personal trainer, sports forms coach out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and alongside me, former Sooner wide receiver, 2000 national champ, Mr. Damian Mackey. How are we doing tonight, D-Mac?
2 weeks into the season, you're starting to identify and understand who you are as a team, as a program, your offensive identity, your defensive identity. I think this is going to be a really healthy week for OU overall. And I'm just thinking about the mentality that we had. In fact, my third season, I played exactly 2 games. I played 2 games as a junior, man. That pisses me off. And I would have cooked. But I think the guys are starting to figure out and understand who they are. And I think one thing I want to, I assume that they are proud of is I think for the first time, Barry, since probably, I don't even think Link really had much of this. They had it a little bit the second year. But I think way more confidence now is complementary football. I think for the first time, I would even say as a fan and an analyst, right? We analyze the games. I would say for the first time in probably 15 years, dude. And maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I don't think I'm exaggerating. I mean, obviously off the top of my head, right? There were some years we had some decent defenses, but I'm just thinking of West V. We couldn't stop a cold. I'm thinking about like Texas Tech. We had to have all these games where we had to score a milli points. I'm thinking about Oklahoma State, right? Like how many times were we playing the under echelon schools in our conference who felt like they could come into Norman or meet us at their spot and basically like last man with the ball wins. So I believe, and I'm assuming this, I haven't talked to anybody. I've been extremely busy. But I think they're in that in the locker room, Barry. I think they're in those meeting rooms. I think Coach BV even is saying this team has a chance to play complementary football. And so I want to speak to that as we break down this midweek report on some of the things leaving last week's game and then some of the things heading into Temple before we do the pregame on Friday. But I just think that's really unique and important to really speak to tonight because that aspect of the game is the mental piece. And before I pass it back to you, I mean, we've all seen as fans, we are all like, okay, Baker's going to have to score 6 touchdowns for us to win. Or, okay, Kyler's going to have to go off for us to win, right? Like we've had literal seasons where it's like we've had games last year like, oh shit, we're gonna fucking lose. Excuse me. Oh man, we need to delete that. Delete. Abandon ship. Abort. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Put the kids to bed. Put the kids.
That was so out of pocket. I apologize. F-bombs are not good. I'm glad I don't have my Yahshua hat on today.
Oh my gosh.
Or my Jesus is King hat.
Yeah. Oh my
Holy
God.
smokes. That was super, like, just rolled off the tongue. No, but when there were seasons where we're like, last season, like, I'm not going to pick an L, but it don't look good. Like,
yeah,
I think we could line up against anybody in America, Ohio State included, Oregon included. And by the way, I think Oregon's the second best team in America just based upon what I've seen in terms of players. Florida State, they beat the brakes off Alabama, so that Florida State's up there. But Oregon, Ohio State, as far as I'm concerned, I think we can line up against anybody and be like, man, we could play ball. So I think that's something that they are thinking about, and I say that too because I sense it as well.
Yeah, man, it's I got some messages from some different people today, just on the tone, the tenor of the team, where they're at. Venables talked about it in his presser. One of the hardest things to manage with a team, and this goes for any team. This goes for business. This goes for sports. This goes for you're running a ship like sailboats, whatever. Right? When you're winning and doing well, sometimes that is the hardest thing to manage. And guys, before we jump too deep into the show, we'd be remiss not to just bring up what's going on in the world. We're not going to get political or anything, but I just want to say hopefully the show tonight is a little bit of a reprieve. You guys can enjoy some football talk. This is all we'll say about it. The only thing I will say is that, man, sin is rampant in this world, and we need Christ in the biggest way. So I just want to put that out there because this is there was some crazy stuff that went on today, and we need to just be mindful of this America. We get to think what we want to think and say what we want to say and believe what we want to believe and do stuff like this, man, where we can have different opinions on stuff and everybody gets along and we're all good and we shake hands and we're good at the end of the day. So just want to say that before we get into it. But D-Mac, the thumbnail that I got on this show has a certain player on it, and we are hearing some hubbubaloo, some rumblings.
How do you spell hubbubaloo?
H.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. You just know as a math teacher, I can't spell with the crap. I suck at spelling.
I bet if I sat with a pencil and paper, I could probably get through it with my hooked on phonics. That's funny because I was like not great at math. Excellent speller. Shout out Luke Brigham. If Luke Brigham is listening to this, me and him used to compete every year, like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade in the spelling bee. You remember you used to do the classroom spelling bee? Brother, I used to kill classroom spelling bee action. I got
I
after
used to like
Luke.
miss. They would be like hat. I would be like H E
Oh no.
T hat. You're out. I was like cool because I didn't even want to like. I was one of the ones like I wouldn't engage.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah, it would be like that they would all the kids would be like just have, because we used to sit on our desks and then at the end of the spelling bee, like, or when you missed a word, you'd have to sit back in your chair. It was very competitive, and all the kids would be like, just have Barry and Luke sit at the end and just let them go through it because they're gonna get all the words right. We used to kill it, but shout out Luke, man. I miss beating that backside, man. That was great. But
No diddy.
no. No, did he? Man, the show's already totally off the rails tonight. We got.
Hey, I was thinking of Big Homie Jay, one of the guys from OUI. By the way, he's probably gonna hear this and laugh. I was just thinking like he would have said it in
100%.
He would have been like, no diddy. He would have said pause. One of those.
No, did he? Imagine you're born and that is like your trajectory in life is you're gonna be a meme for eternity.
All right, he's
Anyway.
on. He's on.
What's up?
Okay, come on, let's jump in, bro. Let's
jump in. So,
man,
OU defense put on a performance against Michigan. We talked about it in the post game. As you said, complimentary football, offense, defense, both sides of the ball, getting it done, taking care of business. You got right now Reggie Powers at that Cheetah spot. You've got Kendall Daniels, who's really this solidified starter at this point at the Cheetah spot. And then you've got some interchangeable pieces, right? You could throw Bowen in there. You could throw Eli to some degree in various packages in that spot, like a lot of different things. But a player who was very successful playing that position a year ago when the defense changed was Kendall Dolby. So I say all this to say you're going up against Temple this week. You got an away game, and I don't think they're going to ruffle with the starting lineup at all. But if you were going to put odds on this, D-Mac, if you were going to say what is the most likely scenario, BV always talks about it. He does, players do have positions, but he always says in fall camp, I want to get the best 11 on the field. I don't think it's crazy to say that Dolby is probably right on the cusp of that best 11. So, more likely than not, does OU find a way, maybe not in this game, but down the stretch, to work a Dolby and a Daniels into the lineup? Or do they at the same time, right, just at various positions, different positions? Or does it behoove them more to have that depth at the Cheetah position and be willing to slot a guy in, slot a guy out based on down, distance, personnel of the other team, that sort of thing. How do you think BV is going to handle this, given that Dolby wasn't a scrub at that spot at all? Far from it. He played elite football at the Cheetah position and gave them very much the way I would say it is Dolby was a little more Ryan Carter, who was like an undersized defensive back who was just built thick when Venables was at Clemson. And Kendall Daniels, I'm not comparing it because everybody compares it, is a little more that Isaiah Simmons, right? The big, rangy, has some speed, can cover, can play the run, can play the middle, can be a true backer in situations if you need him to. What do you think is more likely, working Dolby at depth or trying to get both of those guys on the field at the same time?
Well, the only way you get Dolby on the field at the same time is if he plays another position, because he just can't do some of the things that KD can do. KD, we are still in a true base front if they line up in 21 personnel or 12 personnel. 2 backs, 1 tight end, 2 tight ends, 1 back, we're good. He can take the other side and be a double eagle front, 50 front. He can play 33 yards off the line of scrimmage and be a 43, like a true 43. Again, I don't want to make the comp either, but he gives them Roy Lee versatility. Just remember, Roy was 6'1.5", 228 pounds. He was Kip Lewis. Roy ran 4.47, for the pros. He gave me the cleats. I have the spikes that he ran. They put his time on it, and of course he couldn't run that his 5th year in the NFL. But coming out, Roy Lee was fast as hell, quick as hell, cat quick, and physical like a linebacker. And so, as you speak to Dolby, what I think is best for the team is we've seen conversations about corner. He came to the program as a safety. He obviously found a niche last year at Cheetah. Personally, I believe they didn't have a Cheetah they really liked, and he was the best they had to offer. And then the portal brought an ideal Cheetah, right? And so, and by the way, what's the difference between Dolby and Powers? We haven't seen Powers make any mistakes, and he's playing back up to Dolby, and he probably is a little bigger than Dolby. I would say Dolby's a 5'11", 210, and I'd say Powers is 6'1.5", 215. Just looking at body types, I'd say about 1.5 inches maybe. And so I say all that to say, we are in a position, and I don't want to make comparisons to like Georgia or Alabama 5 or 6 years ago, where they literally had 3 5-stars or 2 4-stars and a 5-star at every defensive position because they could stack guys and they'd be willing to sit. But I do think it's closer to like LSU, where LSU had their front line NFL dudes and they'd have a couple other guys in the mix, right? If you guys remember, Honey Badger was not Honey Badger as a pup. He played because he was an instinctual Swiss Army knife type of a player when Peterson and those guys were the upperclassmen and he was the younger guy. And then obviously, as he got older, right, he became the man. He kind of came into his own. And I think Dolby possesses some of those skill sets. I don't think he has the ball hawking skills, obviously, that Honey Badger had, because his ball hawking skills were off the charts. He was like Ed Reed 2.0, like legitimately. But he definitely has the physicality, definitely has the awareness, definitely has the IQ. And I would even say comparable athletes. Honey Badger was never a guy who was going to out-athlete anybody. He was a phenomenal ball player, right?
Yeah.
They talk about Mateer as a phenomenal ball player. So was Honey Badger. So when I think Dolby comes back, ideally, he is a Cheetah and he is a corner and he is a safety. And if you were to ask me, he probably has the best possibility of seeing the field first at corner. And so I think I said this when we were doing our position groups. My hope is that he's gotten his body prepared to turn and run and be a guy who can get out of his hips and not get beat on the fade. Because if he can't run with the fade route, he can't play corner, because teams are going to just challenge to see if he can. But I think there's a place for him to be in sub packages, Barry. I think BV feels extremely confident in putting him in positions where he has to play the hole. He has to play over number 2. He has to play as an overhang. He's a blitzing type person, right? He's starting in the second level, and then he's robbing the deep in cuts, the overcuts. He's carrying crosses across the middle of the field because he did that all very, very well last season. But like, I don't think it's appropriate in two instances to say, like, we're just gonna, I don't know, penalize KD because Dobie's back when KD has shown he's done everything that Dobie can do and more, like literally as a true backer. But also, it'll be interesting to see what exactly Dobie can do. Sometimes coming back from an injury, guys are limited, or they have some mental thing going on, or they lost half a step, right? Or they're a little weak, or they're a little timid. He's the type of guy I imagine will be ready to go because his temperament. I know people who know him personally who's like, Mac, he's a bona fide dog. Like he's one of those guys 100%. Who's going to be biting play one. So I assume when he's ready, he's going to come in ready to do what he needs to do. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think he's a better. I don't know. But just watching, I don't think he's a better athlete than KD. And KD is 4 inches taller and 25 pounds heavier. So I think in BV's eyes, you want to keep that caliber of player on the field. I think KD's a guy who's going to be an early round draft pick if he plays the entire season. If he plays this season the way he started this season, he's going to be an early round draft pick just for the measurables. He has really good film at Oklahoma State. And if OU keeps winning, he's going to be a guy who's going to get a lot of recognition because of his measurables.
Yeah, I've been really surprised by his athleticism. Maybe there's a video there to do. He gets out of his hips well. Man, he is, going forward, he is just, elite. We saw it, right? The OU has, actually want to get your take on this because this is interesting. One of the things that plagued this team for really BV's 2 years was not being able to get off blocks in the perimeter, right? In sort of the action where the team is stretching the field horizontally, not stretching it vertically, right? So the passes going from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom of your screen. For those who are a little more of our casual listeners, OU was not able to stifle those, especially when a player like Gentry goes down. Gentry was good, but then now what? You're locking down one side of the field, right? You got to be able to get off blocks. You have to be able to play that stuff tight. But then the counter to that is you have to be able to play that tight and not worry about giving stuff over the top. And Venables said that was a point that they wanted to really hammer home. And what it seems like is that KD can do those things, and Dolby can as well. You're having two guys where you don't lose a whole lot, giving either one some wind, right? Giving either one a little bit of a break within the game. And then you have Powers, who to me at this point is almost like a change of pace to a certain extent. He's a guy who's very, hard hitter, very heavy handed when he's bringing the lumber, if you will. So I think it's a good problem to have. What we hear is that there is a possibility, and I don't know if we're the only show promoting this, talking about this, whatever. We do hear there is a possibility that he might make it up to the Temple game. And that game's going to be in Philly. It's going to be an away game. If you could, have as many experienced guys on your roster for a competitive match like that, that's what you want. So before we dive into more of the midweek football stuff, D-Mac, I do want to touch on OU going up to Philly, right? They're playing in, what is the name? Guys, put it in the chat. The name of the stadium. It's an NFL stadium they're playing in, but I forget the name of it. It is,
Is it where the Eagles play?
Is that, I think so, but I forget what the name of the stadium is. Guys, put that thing in the chat so we can give it its proper due.
It's like Lincoln Field.
Yeah, Lincoln Field. Yep. So, OU MetLife. That's what it is. So OU's going up there at Folsom Field. Oh, yeah. I think that is. Anyways, I want to ask because I think this might be the furthest northeast that Oklahoma has gone in a minute. They used to play West Virginia back in the day, but that was Lincoln Financial Field. That's it. So they used to play West Virginia.
Yeah, that's one of my carriers.
Hey, brother, there you go, man.
Yeah.
MetLife. Shout out MetLife. So what I want to ask you, D-Mac, is does the distance of this game, does that matter anymore in this day and age? But then also for you, was there an interesting away game that you went to, and maybe give me both sides of the coin, especially for our new listeners? Was there one that was like, oh man, this is the coolest place I've ever been, and the atmosphere and the tradition here, you can just feel it. It's a neat place to play. And then on the flip side, give me a total dud. Like, just you went there, energy was dead. And you cannot include Kansas. If you went to Kansas,
that's the first game I missed. My last game was OU Texas. They had Kansas the next week. So our away game at Kansas was the game that I was in the hospital. Actually, I was still in the hospital.
Wow. Yeah. You can't count that one. There you go. That's good. Perfect.
Played them against them, but didn't go to KU.
Perfect. So give it to me. Well, does the distance matter? Is that a factor at all?
I think it matters for the first away game with a team with a lot of new leaders. It's an unknown. It's a variable. And so I think coaches being very intentional around schedule, around normalcy. When you're in season, you become a creature of habit. And from the meal prep time to, film study, practice times, obviously, but it's literally like 5 minutes. It's very interesting to see how organized running a program is. Most people, I imagine people assume now that it is very structured. The structure is like by minute. And so whenever we would be with Coach Bob, and our first away game of the year, I'm thinking, let's see, 99, it was Louisville. By the way, scored 2 tugs that game as a freshman, baby. Yeah,
multiple in the Louisville game.
2 tugs against Louisville, man.
Who was the quarterback in that game? Because then they had a quarterback.
Redmond. They had Redmond. They had Redmond. They had 2 dudes who played in the NFL for a long time. When I say their names, they were good players in the league. Yeah, they had
Louisville was legit for a minute. They were
solid.
Legit ball club.
They were solid, and I think we were underdogs because they were playing at home. Mm-hmm. But they had Redmond as their quarterback. I think was that my first. I think they scored my first 2 touchdowns, man. I think my first. I don't remember. Anyway, that's not the game I was going to say though. The game that just always comes to mind for me is Notre Dame. The thing that kind of pisses me off. I came from a winning program in high school. A lot of us did as freshmen, and so our first away game, not on a bus, I was a little upset that we were kind of like tourists. Like we did, we're gonna look at the dome, and we're gonna look at all these like I just want to go to Notre Dame and play them. You know what I'm saying? I also was upset that in '99 they didn't have a jumbotron. Like how are you Notre Dame and you don't have a jumbotron? Like that was trash to me. Like y'all trash. I also didn't like that their grass was very high. Like why your grass so high? Like they had a different style of grass, but phenomenal game day experience. Phenomenal stadium. By the way, the game itself was a phenomenal game. Every time I think about that game, so much. They pass interference to me so bad in that game. Oh, my God. The guy drags me down. He's literally falling before the ball gets to me. They don't call PI. I'm like, really? Like, this is like he raped me. You know what I'm saying? It was no pause or whatever you guys are going to say. But I was trying to get away from the shenanigans, by the way. So I was trying not to.
It's not
I
possible.
definitely was thinking about it. I know. Notre Dame was awesome. Obviously, we found a way to lose that game, and it was just prelude to the 2000 season, reminiscent of learning how to play championship football. That 99 season helped us. A game that was super trash to me was Iowa State. We played Iowa State also in '99.
Okay.
They had Troy Davis. If anybody's old enough, Troy Davis went for 2,000 yards. I want to say the next season. Iowa State running back, he had a brother who was also a really good player too. A couple years after him, beat the hell out of him. I think I had 4 catches for 80 or for 50 yards or something in that game, but it felt like a high school game. I think they had maybe 5,000 people at the stadium. The stadium wasn't bowled in. It looked like a good high school. By the way, I got my Cedar Hill shirt on. I don't know where I found it, but when I was coaching at Cedar Hill, I worked out in this shirt today. Or I didn't work out, but I went for a walk in it. And Cedar Hill has a nicer stadium. than what their stadium looked like back then.
Wow.
The hotel, I think we stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, which was trash, which meant our pregame meal was trash because we always catered in from the hotel. And so they didn't have like you know, a Wyndham or anything there, you know, a Doubletree even. They didn't have anything. You know, they had like, I think we stayed at a Holiday Inn, bro. And so that whole experience, I mean, we beat the brakes off of them. I think I played 2 quarters, which is cool. But away games are every year, your first away game, it's a big deal. And I am very confident that coach is taking this opportunity because I mean they're going to play in some big time environments. I think they go to Tennessee this year. They go to Oxford this year. I think we play South Carolina. No. We got Ole Miss at home, but we got South Carolina, right? Like we've got some games that we've got to play. Obviously, we got to go to Dallas again. They've got to be prepared to make the adjustment of travel. Travel is a thing. Some people lose games by virtue of not traveling correctly. They're tired, they're dehydrated, they're distracted. Like I said, when we went to Notre Dame, we felt like tourists. We spent like half a day like doing like Notre Dame museum stuff. And by the way, I was pissed off because they showed some deal where they were like the home of play like a champion today. Like I was distracted, like bull crap. Notre Dame didn't create that. We created that. I had just watched the Barry Switzer video of how I think Bud and the crew created that like years earlier. And here we are. And they've got this whole thing talking about they created. Like I was pissed. Like, how dare you guys say that? That's us, you know? And so anyway, I think it's a good game for them. I said this in the post game, or I said this in Gorilla Nuts, one of the two. I like the setup of our preseason. I think it was good to play Illy State. Illy State is not Kent State, who we're going to – our running game is going to look immaculate against Kent State because they're terrible this year. Yeah. And you've got, you know, the teams playing at Illy State's a challenging team. Temple's going to be a challenging team. I don't think in any way, shape, or form they threaten to beat us unless we don't take care of the ball, right, or do something crazy. But it's a good game for us to, as a measuring stick, to prep us going into Auburn. And then Kent State is a great game for us leaving our first conference game and essentially having a chance for guys to get warmed up. So kudos to the team. I'm going to assume, Barry, they're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, that would be that. It's a pretty veteran ball club. Like when you start going down the list, they got some freshmen and some spots, but you got Mateer, who's experienced. You got Deion Burks in the receiving core. You got Javonte Barnes with the backs. This isn't Jared Canick's first rodeo, even though it wasn't at backer, it's at tight end. Yep. You've got experienced players along the offensive line. Yep. And then your young players that are playing are doing what young players that are playing should do. And they're just dominating in the football game. You don't have any of this. You know what you don't have, and we talked about this the first season. And you don't have, I mean, maybe you could argue at a couple positions. You don't have captains who are just total scrubs, way worse than the players who are playing beneath them. You don't have that. Like maybe there's spots where a guy is better, but like you can. I watched back the game and watched Javonte Barnes very closely. There's not a player in that running back room who pass blocks and blocks in the open field the way he does. And that's
so why it's a position called running back or passing back.
Pass
blocking back.
I got
What's it called? Is it called running back or pass blocking
back?
Okay, so
running back.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of that. Like everyone's trying to give him some kudos, man. He would do what he was supposed to do. Good. Thank you. We're not gonna like give him some damn, I don't know, you know what I'm saying, a cookie. No, you're a D1 running back, 4 years into the damn program. Do your freaking job. I'm not gonna like make it like we're gonna give him soft gloves. No, hell no. Do it again. I want to see you do it again. Sorry, bro. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Hey,
but like,
man,
he's a running back, bro. His first carry, he ran into the back of his car. He got some good yards, though, by the way. He got some good yards, but he literally ran into his back.
He plays solid. So it's a game where OU should go up there, be able to dominate. The health-wise, we're hearing that you might have a few players sit out
Yep.
in this one. On the offensive line is kind of a wait and see, right? It looks like Fasusi was okay coming off the field when he was running, but this is a game where you know, maybe you give him a chance, let that ankle fully heal. So
I think he plays. By the way, I
I,
think he
I, I
plays.
do too. I do too. I do too. I'm just kind of painting a picture. I think if OU gets up, it'll be curious to see how a Troy Everett handles being the number 2 guy off the bench. So
I think he plays.
everything we've heard is that he's handled the backup spot really well. But when you lose a position like that you've been a mainstay in, man, but that's just competition. I want to go defensive side of the ball, and I want to dig into a player who I think is germane to this discussion because he was a guy who was incredibly ballyhooed coming out of high school and has just had a long, winding journey of success. And OU played him. We noticed it in the post game, or we noticed it during the game. I brought it up post game that OU really took him away from being a weak side D end. They have said RMT, Wine. Um, let's see who else they got out there. Just coming off that edge. I'm trying to remember all the names now.
Marvin Jones,
There you
Okoye.
go. Marvin Jones Jr., another guy. Okoye, who we're still going to see as the season progresses, I'm sure. But I'm talking about PJ Adebawore,
Yeah.
D-Mac. He, along with other guys, but him specifically for this conversation, was putting guys on their backside, man. It was one of the better games that he played in. And for those who have listened to the show, I said I thought from an anthropometrics standpoint, there's your 50 cent word tonight. From his
Who?
anthropometrics, it's like your measurables, like how long your arms are, how long your legs are.
Anthropometrics. Hella syllables.
Anthropometrics. All my kinesiology majors in here, man.
By the way,
Shout
my
out.
wife's on here. She's an animal bio major. You guys see Chelsea Mackey. I'm like, babe, what are you doing? Like, why are you no why you eavesdropping? Like, what are we doing tonight?
Here we
She's
go,
like,
man.
I know.
Yeah, shout out Chelsea. So he was a guy who I thought was going to have a tough time bending in the college game. So, from your vantage point on the football side of it, when you have a guy who really is going to struggle to bend, he's not going to be as good speed rushing off that edge. Having counter moves is always going to be hard for him because he's just too long. His hips are too high. His leverage is not great, where it is better going forward or if he's setting that edge. So I want to ask from a football standpoint, why is he able to have more success playing that spot? What are the assignment changes? What are the positional changes that take place when you move over same side as the tight end to the strong side of the formation? Like what goes on in that case where now he can be a valuable plus athlete piece? To talk about that.
Well, I think two things have happened, Barry. I think number one, we've gotten better pass rushers, and so I think what happens is everybody wants to play weak side DN. When you listen, NFL, yes, strong and weak, but in college and at this level, everybody wants to be the weak side DN because the weak side DN is the guy who gets to chase the ball more, right? The strong side DN has more responsibilities because he has a tight end and essentially they run the ball that way more. So you don't have as much free reign. So here's what a couple of things that it tells me. Number one, it tells me he wasn't in the top 2 or 3 as it relates to just going to get the football, right? But I think as he continues to develop, there's a term you use called a program guy, where he hasn't transferred out. He hasn't quit on himself. He's continued to get better. His body type, you mentioned it when he was first coming out, but it's not like he has a body type that's ill-equipped to be successful. He still has a very high ceiling. Guys, he could be a guy who his senior year, he has 12, 13 sacks because the athleticism is there. However, OU has just improved their talent. When he came in, if you think about it, he probably played more as a freshman than he did the last season, and he'll probably play even less this season. It wasn't because he was better, it's because we didn't have other options, right? And so now, as the continued talent as the continued talent has gone up. I know, yeah. And you know what's funny is the people who listen to this not live, they can't see it. So like they don't even know what the hell is going on. They actually can. You can actually scroll and it'll show you the live comments too. But anyway, point is, PJ is a guy who I just think is a program guy. We said it last year. He's a guy that they're going to find a place for him to play because he's got the measurables. I bet by now he's comfortable, right? He's had 3 off seasons. You know what I'm saying? He's had 3 summers like this. He's went through 3 fall camps. I think next year the light bulb could go off this year. If an injury happens, I'm not terribly upset he has to play because he's a guy. He's a grown man. He should be strong. He should know his responsibilities. He may not go get 1,000,000 sacks, but who knows if he has to take 40 snaps and all of a sudden the game slows down because he's in a rhythm. But to your point, he's playing strong side, I believe, because he's not one of the top 2 or 3 rushers of the quarterback, and having 3 years in the program, I'm sure he's very comfortable with his role, his responsibilities, and his duties and what he's supposed to do, whether it be the strong side or the weak side, simply because of the number of hours he's been in that room with Coach Chavis and the rest of the crew getting it together. So I'll just say it now, assuming he stays and plays some this season, assuming he decides to stick around after the season, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a very, very, very good player going into next season as a guy who's been in the program 4+ years and, can now take advantage of some of the things that he's learned as a grown man, potentially going against an underclassman at tackle. So I think he's another example of program depth.
Man, I want to highlight a stat for you, D-Mac, that through the first 2 games, and granted, you had an FCS opponent and in Michigan, but man, the stats are still the stats. And you said, I remember maybe it was Illinois State. You said it. If you're going to have a top 10 defense, those games against Illinois State, you gotta hold them down. You can't let them score. You got to keep the yardage down. So I just want to go through this real quick. So for those of you who don't know, right now OU is putting up 6.31 yards per play right now. Opponents doing 4.3, right? And really, you take out the 75-yarder and you take out the bomb that McCulley had over RSJ, you're talking about like less than 4 yards per. You're talking like probably 3.5, maybe 3.4. Here's where it gets wild. So Oklahoma has thrown for 662 yards in 2 games, right? They didn't even come close to that in any 3-game span a year ago.
Right.
They have held their opponent, DMAC, to 176 passing yards through 2 games. So I set that up to ask, guy who played defensive back in high school, you went against elite defensive backs when you were in college. Through 2 games against opponents who you got a freshman quarterback and you got Illinois State, but you still got to go do it. In order to go do it in those games, but what has to take place from a game day play-to-play scenario in terms of the communication, in terms of the preparation? What I'm asking for is a peek behind the curtain of you still got to show up and do it. You still got to show up and make it happen. So when Venables is like, saying things like the players communicated well, the players prepared well, they knew their keys, they knew alignment and assignment. Give us the actual meat of what he's talking about there in order for you to be successful when you're going up against a quarterback who can complete passes, right? Illinois State wasn't totally pedestrian, especially before the starter was knocked out in that game. Give us a peek behind the curtain on that.
Well, I think 2 things, Barry. Number one, we have better players. We don't have any. I mean, again, we've talked about this ad hoc for 3 weeks. When you look at our lineup, there is no pre-snap or pre-game or scouting report. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, look, boom, it's game week. All right, gentlemen, we got OU. Who they got? They got Temple. We got Temple this week. Here's your scouting report. You get your scouting report Monday. the first thing we do, we look at measurables. We want to know size. We want to know weight. We want to, and then like what they'll generally do, and I bet you they do it even more now, but like even back then, they'd be like, Hippie can't get out of his hips. The 6'1", 204-pound DB. The short guy, very quick, but weak in the chest, right? So like they would have these little tidbits for us to know you get it that day. And so I know teams would be like, Cheetah? Hey, buddy, wasn't Buddy a terrible middle linebacker last year? He's playing Cheetah? Okay, coach. Hey, coach, look, when we do that double post, hey, throw me. I know, guy, because that's what we used to do. Like, we would be like, oh, we got Iowa State. Blood, do you see that safety? Like, we'll watch film and like, we'll be like, look at the safety. Josh, throw me the double post, bro. Like, it's a fact. That's half of film, by the way. Our defense, we don't have that player anymore. You know who it was? It was Cortland Guillory. And it was like, okay, there's the new guy, but the measurable said 6.5 feet. The measurable said 198 pounds, right? I'm sure they check track times. Guys are collecting data. So, hey, he ran a 10,700 in high school. Like, we would get that information even back then, right? So whatever he did, right? I don't know. Let's say it was a 4.5 guy in high school. They would be like, well, let's test it to see if what they say is real.
And that's what they did. They tested him. And
100%.
Wow, that's interesting.
By the way, pregame, you walk out there and you want to see if the data that they gave you, like I'd walk out there and be like, okay, there's Quentin Jammer. Oh, dang, Buddy is 6'1". Oh, he's got long arms. He looked a little taller than the other DBs. Huh. Okay, bet. You go out there. Oh, there's Gary Baxter, 6'2", 208. Guy played 8 years in the league for the Ravens, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? You check that stuff out. OU doesn't have that guy on paper anymore. When you have a David, you have middle linebacker, and a White at Cheetah, that's problematic. And then you have a Kanik as a freshman who played offense in high school and played in Kansas. Oh, he's your starting Willie Backer? Let's test him out. Now, OU has fortified their frontline players with Gentry. Say something. The only question about Gentry is health. Every team knows, let's see if the shoulder's good. He can turn and run. He will pick the ball. He will knock your head off. He's instinctual. The film doesn't lie, right? Peyton Bowen, 5-star, started since he was a freshman, 3rd year in the program, right? You can't go nowhere. RSJ, what do you want to say, right? And then you've got Guillory. Guillory's a guy who they're like that was the one, right? Okay, let's test him. You notice teams are trying to test Kendall. Kendall really sinks and gets out of his hips, and he can get in the hole. I saw him with deep responsibility a few times. They went 3 high against Illy State at the end of the game. I think they were just testing out the 3 high deal with the Cheetahs that safety depth, and then pre-snap he kind of robs. But he's a really fluid athlete. I was surprised. I thought for sure it would be a sub package where Powers would come in 11 personnel or down in distance, 3rd and long. It'd be a power pack, right? Where Powers is in and Kendall is out, but Kendall stays in. And so that tells me he has the athleticism. So the first part of your question is teams know what the opponents have, scouting report. And I think season 1, our very first year, I told some stories. Again, we're going to tell some more stories this year outside of games. But, I mean, there's some funny stories, like 4-7. You get the scouting report, and you could tell that was just have a bunch of analysts and stuff like that, right? So it'd be like, I forgot one of the guys. I think he's still there. But he'd be like, Mackey, you better beat him. Like on my scouting report, it would be like for Mackey, like the guys, let's just say he's like the nickel guy. They were like, he's real slow. Like for real, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Mackey, when we run this play, you better like there were guys were in the scouting report. It's like if we have him lined up on you, we're going to you. So I know. It's why I brought up the Eli Bowen situation. I brought it up pretty much every week. If Eli's at your starting field corner, I love him too, guys. I love him. But if we're playing against Michigan, McCulley, they're lining him up against Eli and down in distance, and it's good luck. They have a 6'5" dude, and he's 5'9". They're going to test it. We don't have that person as our starter right now, and that's not a shot at Eli. It's just facts. That's part of the game that is to be said. The other thing is, and I think it's very simple to say, and I'll say it quickly, is everybody not named Guillory has been in the system 3 years. So these guys, they're speaking – the code of their language is fluent. They're all fluent in it. So they don't have to think. When somebody is saying banjo, when somebody is saying check blue, when somebody is comboing, when somebody is saying right, in and out, they know what it means. They've repped it a ton. It's second nature.
Man, that's a good thing to hear when it comes to just a position group that just has struggled to get over the hump, even in games like this, man. They had issues against Tulsa a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Tulsa found spots in the zone against guys who were still there. Gentry, Peyton. I remember Peyton specifically in that game, right? He really struggled in zone coverage, and now we hear we hear that now he has gotten to where he has a really firm understanding of what to do in zone coverage. Complete opposite, right? He's developed, he's become a better player, and it's
Can I
really
say something though?
Go
Can I
ahead,
say
go
something?
ahead.
And this will be quick. They haven't really been tested.
No,
I knew
they
with the
haven't.
pup, and BV threw a lot at him pre-snap. We by the way, we ran a ton of different fronts. We ran a ton of fronts against those guys. And like I said, I said this, and I saw somebody asked earlier, like, yeah, those Michigan guys, they were like, you guys have freshman O-linemen. You guys have a true freshman quarterback, bro. Let me tell you what that means. That means 60% of the stuff your OC wants to run, he can't, because the kid hasn't repped it enough yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw they had a limited playbook. But we played against a freshman, and the quarterback from Millie State who got hurt was going to try to cook us. He wasn't a bad player. He got hurt, and then they brought in the other guy who, again, the number 2 guy wasn't going to be prepared. We're going to see what we have. Started with Temple. Temple has averaged like 48 a game. I mean, they haven't played anybody yet, but like I guarantee you they're coming into this game confident. We getting these guys in Philly. They remember the game. By the way, I bet you some of the guys are like, they sucked last year when we played them. Because we played them and beat them, but everybody left with that game underwhelmed. So I highly anticipate those guys at Temple expecting to come and move the ball, score the ball, pass the ball. So it'll be an opportunity for our DBs. Saturday will be a great opportunity for our DBs to show what they can do. I would even say more than Auburn. And Auburn has some great receivers, but we all know Auburn has JFA.
Yeah, and that's going to be that's a game where OU is going to have the energy is going to be there. You worry a little more about a game like Temple, where game 1 they play UMass, they go 42-10. Game 2 they play Howard, it's 55-7. They're putting up 250 pass yards a game, 260 rush yards a game. They're very balanced. You're right, 48.5 points a game. About top 15, top 20 in the country, allowing 8.5 points a game through the 2. Their quarterback, 422 yards, 9 TDs, no picks. Right, and we'll talk more in the pregame.
What are his measurables? Do they say his size? I'm curious to know.
Let me take a look. I want to say he is 6'2". This is going off memory, and guys correct me. I want to say he's 6'2", 210. So if I'm not mistaken, but I will double check that.
I'll check it right now.
At running back, you got 215 yards through 2 games. Got a rushing tug. At receiver, Peter Clark, their tight end is their lead receiver, and that to me, D-Mac, against Michigan, that was going to be the story, right? If Klein was able to play, it would have been a different game, because I think if Klein was able to play, it's similar with Jackson missing Deion Burks, right? When you don't have a guy as a young starting quarterback that you feel you can count on, you can say, I know I got to go through my progressions, but at the end of the day, Burks is going to be open. Right. When you know that you have a guy that you can say, I can at least get the ball to him, it puts you at ease. But you got a tight end who's the leading receiver there. Receiver, you got a guy, Jojo Bermudez. He's going for 87 yards. And on defense, they've held strong. They have an edge player who's all a 6'4", 260. And Venables brought this up. And I think this is an interesting discussion to have. This era of college football is different, right? So I have a guy who went to my gym. I won't name names, but let's just say he was recruited by a local Oklahoma school who happens to be a big-time D1 school. Put that together, and it wasn't Oklahoma. And it's a big-time D1 school, right? So he can play, and he can play legit. But the coaching staff told him, hey man, we have our guy. We know we have a starter. If you come here, you're not going to be the guy, right? Matter of fact, you might even be number 3.
Mm.
And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go somewhere else. He goes to a smaller school and has balled out, played incredibly well. Just because his goal, D-Mac, is to get a scholarship, get his education, and get out of there, be healthy. Like, that's his goal. Football for him is a fun sport. But you're talking about a guy who had an offer on the highest D1 end that you can get. And I won't say, it's not, Alabama, but it's a D1 program, and he is picking an FCS level school to play at. So my point is in this day and age, with training, with nutrition, with the availability of resources, all those different things, the things that separate a guy who's playing at Oklahoma and a guy who is playing at, Temple is sometimes what's separating them is the transfer portal. Because if you show enough and your measurables are right, if you have a good year, OU is going to come calling and they're going to say, hey, man, we saw you against us when we played you up in Philly, and we think you can be a piece for us. So you have that now more than ever. The difference is OU has more of those guys. They've acquired and collected more. But, it's a case where if you have 3, 4, 5 of those guys on your offense and defense spread throughout. Maybe you got an elite guy in the kicking game. Maybe your quarterback is really good. You can really give a team problems like Oklahoma. And I think that's what you're kind of alluding to, is that they could go up there, and if the quarterback is sharp, you're talking about, they could put a quick touchdown on you. So the way to mitigate that for OU is interceptions, right? If you got a guy who's thrown no picks, go out there and pick him off and see how he responds. Cause fumbles, wreak havoc, get in the backfield. I think for OU, the thing that's going to be their mainstay this season is defensive line. That's why teams that have great defensive lines are typically the ones that win championships. The very rarely do you win a national title without being relatively elite in that spot. So I think it just is not a stretch to say that for the Sooners, them staying healthy up front and having as much depth as possible is what's going to get them through this SEC schedule. And if they're 9-3, 10-2, they're probably in the playoff or right on the cusp. 10-2 for sure.
10-2 they're in. 9-3 with our schedule, depending on who we lose to and how we lose, we also should be in. I want to say this. This is a game OU has to just play their ball and we'll win. This is a game, and I see people like, don't take Temple for granted. I'm not going to say 2 F-bombs on one pod. F that. We're freaking OU. Go out there and beat them. I'm not going to say beat the A dollar signs either. I'm not going to cuss anymore because I feel bad. But no. People go to Temple to get a damn education and study law. People go to OU to play football. On Saturday, it's a business trip. Coach, get them prepared to come out ready in the first quarter to get on their neck. I was paying attention to see if the quarterback was as a dual guy. I don't think he's a statue, but he's not a guy who can out athlete our linebackers and go make plays. He'll probably Jaden Jackson, things of that. He probably even a stone in the pocket, but I don't think he's a guy who can just out athlete our guys. You hit the nail on the head. Our D-line just needs to dominate their O-line, and it's not a game. But OU needs to change the temperament of last year against Tulsa, 2 years ago against Arizona, blah, blah. No, these inferior teams, they need to start showing up against OU again, knowing, okay, we're here to collect the check. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I'm being so sincere when I say that. I'm tired of OU going into games and being like, since when does West Virginia compete with us? Okay, when they had the guy who's still the quarterback of the Raiders now, and White and Noel. Okay. They had some dudes. That one little team, I'm not going to stunt. But, they came into the conference and, they're the better team, 40% of the time. Hell nah. Screw that. I think it's the game. OU has to come. Listen, Barry, I know I'm going back a quarter century. That's freaking crazy to say. But 99, we went to games hoping to win. 2000, starting at Texas, we were like, we are going to beat the brakes off of Texas. Like, we were like, oh, we own that ass. Bob called a play. When we beat Kansas, if you're an OU insider, you've read my Red October deal. Bob called a play. End of the game, Bob, against KU, Bob's like, yo, do you guys want to hope to beat Texas or do you guys want to win? We were like, we want to win. Bob was like, bet, this is the play. If we start doing this, we'll be prepared to beat anybody. We all sold out to it. And guess what we started doing? Walking into games like we're not going to lose. BV needs to start that tradition. I think they have. The way they're playing, to me, they give me that aura. But we need to go. I see people saying like, oh, you guys, hell no. Temple does not deserve to be in the same caliber of conversation as freaking you, period. And I know we have PTSD of an anemic defense for 15 years and a ridiculously anemic offense 2 of the last 3 years. I get it.
Thanks.
This is a new year. We hit some pretty good players in the transfer portal. OU needs to go in that game. Florida State. You think Florida State came out this year when they played Alabama like, I hope we win? You can tell this offseason, they were like, we got dudes, but you know what they really got? They got a quarterback. When their quarterback got hurt 2 seasons ago is what really derailed their team. They should have been in the playoffs 2 seasons ago when the quarterback got hurt. If you guys remember, he tore his knee up like the second to last game of the season, and they didn't get in because of that. But they got their quarterback. Guess what OU got? Their quarterback. Guess what OU has? The best DC in America. Sorry, guys. We got to go into Temple, and this isn't sunshine pumping. This is like what you need on your side in terms of momentum and confidence in order to beat teams by 50. Hey, y'all, keep it 100 with y'all. Like if this was us in the locker room, I would be like, it's a Wednesday practice. Roy Lee. Like, I'll literally be sitting in my locker, and I'm like, Roy Lee, which, by the way, he's my roommate. I could talk to him at home. Crazy, right? But we're in the locker room like, hey, whoa, y'all ready, man? Like, hey, we'll talk, bro. We about to put 40 up. Y'all gonna let them score 30? D straight, what's up, bro? Like, we would literally be in the locker room like, blood, we watching film. They not looking like they gonna do too much against us. Are y'all gonna let them cook? Are y'all gonna let them Robert Ferguson you gonna let them for Texas A&M buddy cook you guys for 3 quarters? Man. Guys, that conversation has to happen. And then you're like, nah, hell nah. And then on Saturday, you're on the buses, and there's a defensive bus and it's an offensive bus. And when y'all get off the bus, you go in the locker room. It's an away locker room, so it's really small. Some of the teams painted pink. They do all kind of crazy stuff in their away locker rooms, right? So you're in the locker room, and you know you don't do it when everybody's, but like that hour and a half before the game, people are still in street clothes, people are still in their warm-ups. Like, hey, y'all, I'm gonna keep it 100, bro. Y'all better lock them down because we scoring 40. I don't want to be playing in the third quarter. Those conversations have to happen. I hope. By the way, the coaches heard us. BV was there. Bob was there. Spurrier will be like, Mackey, damn it. If you're playing in the fourth quarter, that means we suck. Like, and I'm like, all right, coach, we got to handle business. Hey, blood, Roy Lee, D Straight, Rocky, y'all better handle business because if I got to run gassers because we like that's part of the game. That's the chess match. But you can't do that if you didn't earn it. You didn't watch film. You didn't have clean practices. The walkthrough on Friday wasn't fresh. Everybody knew exactly what to do on walkthrough. On Thursday shells, the ball doesn't touch the ground. Like, you earn it that we can practice. But hell no, I'm not going to no Temple game like we better be on. Hell nah, Temple better be on they better be on their P's and Q's to know they about to get smacked. I hope that is the energy that our guys have because they can play complimentary football. I didn't mean to go on a rant, but I'm just rant. We need to get back to that space. You think Georgia, and by the way, they haven't played well this year. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but
yeah, I have this last game. Not good.
They can't throw the ball. They can run the ball, but they can't throw it. But do you think Georgia thinks for a second they're going to lose to San Jose State? No. Neither does Texas. When we go to Temple, we need to respect them. We need to have a phenomenal week of practice. And then we need to beat them by freaking 40. That's what we need to do. The D-line needs to say, hey, guys, the quarterback is a 4-7 guy, a solid athlete. He can throw the rock. DBs, be on your P's and Q's. But you know what coach needs to say? Like, hey, y'all, we behind. Can we please get some damn turnovers? Now, don't do what Billy Bowman did 2 years ago. I'll never forget that. You remember that? He was chasing picks and gave up 2 tugs in 2 separate
Against
weeks.
Iowa State.
Iowa State is 2
Buddy,
of them against Iowa State.
They even
Ooh,
talked
pissed me
about
off.
it. Yeah. Can't
Chasing
do
picks.
that.
Yeah, don't do that. Assignment football.
That's bad football.
But no, hell no, not on this pod. And this ain't sunshine pumping. They need to earn it this week in practice and beat their ass by 40, period. Or why you come to OU. Coach, let me speak to the team and ask their asses why they came to OU. Because let me tell you what Bob Stoops used to say to me. Mackey, if you don't practice well, you can't play. Because at OU, we play for championships. That's what Bob said to me. And you know what I had to do? Suck it up. No Diddy or whatever the hell y'all say after that. That's what I had to do.
No Diddy.
They're about to have me fired up.
No Diddy.
I know. They're about to have me fired up.
Hey, I got a question, man. Did you see the Syracuse coach? Do you see what he did to his players?
I did.
Making them run gassers
I did.
in the stadium after the end of the game?
I did.
How you feel about that?
So 3 people DM me. You want to know my honest assessment?
Honest, yeah.
If they lost, he's a dumbass. Because they won, it's genius. It's genius. The standard is a standard. Doesn't matter that we won. Because they won, they're waiting to hot dog it. They're waiting for the news clippings. They're waiting for the girls. At OU, I'm sure they still do it. Or there's a secret society. But like when we used to win games, there was a section where the girls knew to go. And we knew where they were. And you could listen. Some guys had girlfriends and would find their way to that little area.
Back after dark.
There's a little area. So my point is, when you win, there's festivities.
Yeah.
And I think it was very smart of him to say that wasn't our standard. Yeah, we won, but we didn't meet our standard. If he had lost the game, he could have lost his players. Right, because that's a different thing. I have zero issue with that. If I were a captain, I would be like, get your ass on the line, or you're going to have to see me too.
Wow.
By the way, just as a start, like as a guy, if Savo didn't win, I would have pulled his ass out there, like, let's get on this damn line and let's run. Because if they didn't meet the standard, that they know better, and like we knew what a good practice was. Bob, hell of a practice today, good energy, right? You know when you guys had a very good practice, and then you knew drops, mental busts, the ones, the scout team is getting picks, and you know what I'm saying, their stuff happens. So if they played like that, and he said, "Hey guys, this is the standard, this is not the standard," and they had to run, damn it, run, yeah, and I wasn't mad that 5,000 people stayed and watched. So what, run. Yeah, I think that was good. I have zero issue with it.
Man, but before we move on, because I want to touch on some of the games this week and get your thoughts. Man, people want the biggest request I get is they're like, guys, predict the big games. Talk about them. I want to hear, Mackey's doing his parlay. I want to hear his thoughts on the spread. Like,
by the way, I hit for 1,000 last week.
Oh, let's go, man! And up in Tahoe. All right, need to another trip to Tahoe. But one of the things we've heard, and I'll just kind of end the OU football specific stuff with this, is the effect that Mateer has had on this program has been resounding. And I don't just mean what he's doing in the game offensively, right? Scoring the points, running the ball, throwing the ball. And it's clear, Arbuckle talked about it in the presser, they have consistently clarified, and I think it's interesting choice of verbiage, D-Mac.
Football player.
They have said football player, and we're going to run him in big games. That they, he didn't run very much against Illinois State. He ran a little bit, and he ran on some stuff that wasn't designed.
Scrambles.
Against Michigan on scrambles, yeah. But against Michigan, they ran him. And if you got a player who's a weapon, and by the way, OU ran Kyler a ton as well. The thing that I like about Mateer and the reason why I don't find it to be such an issue is he took a couple licks that he probably needs to dial in, but because of his wiggle, if he can be intelligent about it, he's not going to take a ton of just real bad shots. When you got a guy who can make players miss in that way, he's going to learn, get out of bounds, take a dive, like don't give your body up unless it is a situation on third down, on fourth down. It's a critical goal to go situation. That's where you give your body up and you press to get the yards that you need. But the area where we've heard that he has really improved the team is the challenge that he is giving them in practice. He has vastly upgraded the standard and the expectation of what is expected on the defensive side of the ball. To put it plainly, he has given the defense the work when it comes to practice. Guys are getting balls thrown between them. They're getting balls thrown over their head. They're having to their passes that are coming with such velocity that guys can't knock them down. They're the never mind. Not gonna go there. Already 3 no ditties. I'm not gonna do another one. But that being said, DMAC, when you played, I just want to get your take on this. What was the effect that Josh had on the defense? Could you feel that when you were playing? Could you say on Saturday on game day, or when you guys watched the tape back, oh, JT made that play because Antoine challenged him in this way in practice, or Straight made that play because he's going up against Savage or Fagan week in and week out, and Josh is putting the ball on a rope. He made that play because of the way that Leach or Mangino was orchestrating the offense. That how much was that felt, and how much did OU having a premier offense elevate that defensive side of the ball to where it's like a walk in the park? Every other offense you're going to play is not going to be as good as what you're seeing in practice. Talk about that.
We never connected the dots like that. At least I never did. I never said, "Oh man, we balled out because Roy Lee and Book did it." No, we didn't do that. Yeah. But in season, and I haven't been to a practice yet. I want to talk about that Red Eye Jedi. You're right. We need turnovers. But in season, there's only 2 periods where you play good on good, which Wednesday blitz pickup, and this is how we did it. I don't know if they still do it. I would assume they don't do more because they don't hit as much as we used to hit. But I assume they still do it because it's good on good, and both sides get to work on their stuff, right? And so it's a 2-period series, and we'd watch film. And to your point, Barry, we would literally be like, okay, it's Wednesday practice. So on Tuesdays we'd have 1-on-1s, and then we'd have tackle to the ground for 2 periods against the red shirt or the scout team. And so they could tackle us to the ground. And so coach would always be like, stay clean. Like the whole play for Tuesday was like, don't get tackled. You know what I'm saying? And so as receivers, it really helps you in the game decide, like, if I'm going to tiptoe the sideline or turn up the field and try to get more yards, right? Like whatever, right? It was really good. It always helped us. I like Tuesdays. But Wednesdays was blitz. And Wednesdays was good on good. So Wednesday, Roy's blitzing off the edge. T. Marshall's coming up the A gap. You know what I'm saying? Like Ante Jones is coming up the alley, blitzing the C gap. And we always would say, damn, Wednesday practice was tougher than the game. So we would never be like, oh man, because of Roy and Ante, but we would always be like, okay, it's Wednesday, y'all. We like strap up because Wednesday it's full pads.
Yeah.
Wednesday we have 1-on-1s. Wednesday we'd have Skelly, but Skelly would be against scouts, right? So Tuesday would be Skelly against scouts, and then team against scouts. But there'd be 2 periods where they could tackle. They wanted to tackle us. If they could tackle us, just no cheap shots. And by the way, a couple fist fights because of cheap shots. And so that was the Tuesday special. The Wednesday special was blitz pickup, 2 periods, 10 minutes. And we do 10 minutes of us, our best stuff. Our defense would run our blitzes, but they would try to mock what the other team would do as much as possible. So it would be like us picking up whoever we're playing stuff. Mm-hmm. And then we would still, on the other half, it'd be like us running the stuff another team would run against our blitz stuff. Does that make sense? But we would always do a good on good. Yeah. And so that 10 minutes is where starting spots were taken and lost.
Wow.
Like there would be days Roy would tell me sometimes, like, hey bro, coach told me to go straight down the middle of your 13. So you know what I'm saying? Eat your Wheaties. It's crazy that he was my best friend. He was my roommate. Like we hated each other in practice. Like it was literally like
tough.
on site. Like, bruh, in the locker room, like we literally would get into fist fights, not trying to hurt each other, but like DBs trying to punk receivers. Nah, y'all ain't punking us. We coming to get y'all. Like guys, we would literally have fights. Not like I hate you, but like run up. And you know what I mean? I can't explain that level of competition and like rivalry amongst the team. It was love. I mean, we would then go leave and all go to the movies together, all go to the frat party together. So it was really just the competition once you walk in the building. Like that's when the competition started. And I say that to say today's practice, I hope they did a blitz pickup. And I don't know. I haven't really dove into Temple yet. I'm going to have some stuff prepared for Friday to see what their tendencies are so we can speak to some of the things we think that are going to be doing. But, yeah, I think K-State, even the Florida State made that message at the beginning of the game where Curtis and Savo got jammed, but like, they just had a dude named Gibson, who was a safety, who played in the NFL for like 8. He was the best safety I ever played against. He was ridiculous, but he was an amazing player. But they weren't really that hard. The hardest team I've ever played against is K-State. And aside from K-State, Wednesday practices were always the hardest game-like situations that I faced. It was going against Roy, going against those DBs, going against trying to block Rocky. T. Marshall, good luck. 6'3", 240-pound dudes who can run like crazy men. You know what I mean? Like, Wednesdays were hard, but they always got us prepared to play well on Saturdays.
Man, D-Mac, I want to talk about some of the games coming up this weekend because I think there's some interesting stuff. You know, one of the teams that has been a surprise this year is South Florida. I've always said it, and been someone who lived in Orlando and saw the talent out in that area, man. There is no reason why any Florida school can't have some serious talent any given year. Even a UCF, a South Florida, a Florida A&M will have guys for every now and again, right? Obviously Florida State, Miami. But this week, Miami favored by 17.5 points over South Florida. You would take the points.
I watched the entire game. I watched the South Florida game. I'd take the points.
Really? Well,
athletic quarterback.
Yeah. 100%.
Good secondary, and they can rush the passer. I'd take the points.
Man. So, you know what? I think South Florida is a team. If they go out and shock Miami, like there is, I heard somebody say.
They're not going to beat Miami, though. Have you seen Miami's front?
Oh, yeah, they're nasty. They're nasty.
Okay.
I don't think that there is a resume that is better in college football. I mean, if they beat Miami, then if the playoffs started tomorrow, you got to rank this team number 1. You beat the brakes off Boise State. You beat Florida. And if they somehow upset Miami, like to me, 17.5 is definitely where you take the points. But I would not be surprised if this game comes down to like a score, maybe like a score, maybe a couple scores. Like I think
they lose by 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like anytime you have a team that's confident, you got a team with an athletic quarterback, and they can control the ball. Like that's what they did against Florida, that they were able to just pick up first downs, keep drives going, and it got frustrating. Like think of that's why it was 18-16, right? Think of the Army game that OU played back in 2018, where Army just was able to pick up chunks, and next thing you know, you've scored 21 points through 4 quarters of football. So I think Billy Napier is all but out of there. I don't know if he'll survive this year at Florida. You got USC, Purdue. USC's been putting up points this season, 21.5 over Purdue. I don't really know what's going on a ton at Purdue, and I don't think USC has played anybody thus far.
I watched their whole game.
What you thinking?
Their quarterback is legit. Nobody's talking about him. And the kid that we were going to get Lemon.
Yeah.
Was coming in with Moore. By the way, Moore is my goddaughter's brother, which is crazy. He goes
That's
to Texas
wild.
now, of course.
That's
I know.
wild.
He was going to go to OU too, bro. We were going to get Malachi, Lemon, and him.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Lemon's a dog. Lemon's nice. By the way, they got a 6'5". You didn't see the one-handed catch in the end zone?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. I don't think yeah.
He's like I watched the entire game. The X is solid. Lemon is their Z. He's their punt returner. Their quarterback, in my opinion, is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in college football.
Wow.
Legit. He's legit.
So you got next one. You got so that's probably USC. You got LSU and Florida.
Is that game this early? No.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna beat the brakes out Florida.
Yeah, it's not a good spot for Florida. And
Lagway is a Bay Area kid. He's from the Bay.
Yeah.
By the way, he was looking at us for a little bit. Pittsburgh High. He's overrated. Overrated.
I think he had a situation a season ago where he came in almost like Jackson did, and because the quarterback position, they were just so hopeful. Jackson, when Dylan went down, looked good. You don't have any film on him, right? You don't know his tendencies. You don't know what he doesn't do well. And anytime you're in that kind of predicament, man, you're gonna often look a little better than you are just because you're surprising teams. But once teams have film on you, once they understand what you cannot do well, they hone in on that and they strike that weakness. I think LSU, the spread is 7.5. LSU. I think I'm all over LSU on that one. I think LSU wins by at least two scores, 100%. Total's 48.5. Are you taking the? I think that's the under. Let's see. What would need? You need what?
7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
7 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think I'd take the under on that.
Nah.
No, you don't think so?
Florida's gonna score 2, but I wouldn't touch that. I'd take LSU.
LSU. Yeah, I would too.
More than 7.
And then one we talked a little bit about pre-show, just a hair, and really the premier game of the weekend is Georgia and Tennessee.
I should be there.
Is that game in Tennessee? That's in
Yes.
Knoxville?
Yes.
Okay. Tennessee has looked good. Do you think that quarterback they have is better than the guy they had a year ago? You do?
Yes.
I do too. I do too. So Georgia, 3.5-point favorite. And then you're at Tennessee, so it's almost like if this was in Georgia,
that means 7 points.
It'd be about
if they were at Georgia 3.5, it'd be like 7.5.
It'd be like 7. Georgia has not looked great.
I'm taking Tennessee.
I think you might take Tennessee straight up.
Their offensive, I would even money line them. Their offensive line is one of the best in college football. Their quarterback is better than Mali Ababi, whatever the heck that kid's name is at UCLA. The team has rallied around him, and Georgia can't pass the ball. You know what Tennessee's weakness is? Both of their starting corners. They have an All-American who tore his ACL, and they had their other starting corner got hurt, but Georgia can't throw. They're averaging 5 yards in the air per throw.
That is crazy.
Give me Tennessee. By the way, if I can get confirmation tomorrow, I will be at that game on the sidelines. I'm also a homer. It's my quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I'm a homer.
Let's go. Yeah. You gotta be, man. You gotta be.
When I sell my business, if OU is playing any games, you guys will see me coaching at Tennessee. I'm just letting you know. Like I will be at Tennessee in a second.
All right. Well, I will for the fans. I will be at OU Auburn. That's the game that I'm picking this season. I don't know, guys. Put in the chat. I don't know what time that game is going to be, so throw that down in there. But yeah, I might take Tennessee straight up, man. They're Georgia. I kind of forget the inner workings of the Carson Beck situation. I forget what put him in Miami, but it just shows you in today's college football, you can't risk it if you have an elite guy at quarterback, man. You just can't play that game of thinking your system is better than the signal caller, because I think we've seen time and time again that it is not. Right. If you do not have a guy back there who can go through progressions, who can spin the rock, who can really like just throw the meat out of that ball, man, you're going to struggle. You're not going to maximize your full potential. To me, this OU team, is not too dissimilar from a year ago. You have a great addition in Guillory. You have a healthy RMT and really a healthy team, right? And guys, we didn't touch on it, but Giovanni Gibson is very, very, very close to playing. I don't know if they play him against Temple.
I think he plays.
Maybe he's. I bet you he is under. I bet you he is under 15 snaps, but I bet you he plays. Yeah. I don't think he plays more than 15 snaps, or I don't think he plays more than like maybe 3 or 4 series, maybe three series. Get him in early, maybe get him some touches, get him out of there, let him just get his feet back up underneath him. But you do not want to risk his health. You need a guy like that going down the stretch. If you're not going to get a guy like Jaden Gibson back, if that ship has sailed,
I think it's sailed, unfortunately.
I do too. I do too, man. You can't have an injury like that and then have setbacks and just
I think it's a culture
hard.
thing. To be honest with you, I don't think it's injury related. I think it's culture.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Interesting, man. And hey, shout out Big Cat. Saw the comment. For guys who don't know what I do, I work with athletes, or I work with folks just in all different capacities. Man, just send me a DM. Let me find me on Instagram at BWise Fitness, letter B WISE Fitness, or on X. I get a hold of you guys, pretty quick. Phone number's public. Y'all can find it out there. Just give it a ring, man. Not a problem at all. Did just move the gym out to a little more central in Tulsa. So if you guys are in the Tulsa area, could come say what's up. Got a lot going on, and we got a lot going on this show. Guys, end of the week, we're going to have the pregame and we're going to have the postgame right after the Temple game is over. Like, this has been something we have been on top of it this season. We make no bones about it. We try to get that post game in after the Auburn game. We're gonna figure up a way. Maybe I got to find a spot to go record live on the scene or something, man. With technology, I bet we could do it. Figure something out. Say what's up to Brandon and Parker. Maybe we can figure something out at a restaurant or something. Who knows, right? So we will be bringing you guys the post game immediately after OU and Temple. D-Mac, as always, closing thoughts, getting us out of here, man.
Yeah, middle of the week, the guys, I want to see if I can find out how the Tuesday, Wednesday practice went. Tomorrow's a day to clean up. They'll probably be in shells. Whatever the scheme and game plan is, it's in place at this point. And so it'll just be like the 2 or 3 plays after they're on the offensive. Are we going to keep those in the game plan? The 2 or 3 plays that they really want, make sure they're hitting them on all cylinders. I'm excited about this week. Like I said at the beginning, I think this is a phenomenal opportunity for the program. This is a game that OU, as a top 15 team of the country, needs to just win by 27 points and leave without serious injury in preparation for Auburn next week. Because we are in a position right now where we can change the narrative of OU. And as much as anything else, you guys saw some of the recruits we've got. You saw some of the recruits we got who we thought may not stick, who are now cemented. We keep winning. The next 3 weeks, which we've got to get through Auburn, we got to win this game Saturday. I'm a fan, so I don't have to worry about this game. I expect us to win this game, right? So they've got to win, but I expect us to win. Auburn's going to be a challenge, but at home with Jackson, there's going to be a lot of juices in the air. And then you got Kent State to get cleaned up. We need to win those 3 games, be number 8 in the country. And who do we got after that? Texas? I think we got Texas after that. Or is it Missouri then Texas? It's either one or two.
Texas. I think it's Texas.
Texas is not feeling good. Texas ain't feeling good. Texas is not feeling good. And the mental edge, we had our years, and we fed that into the younger guys. Hey, y'all, Texas is scared of us. I'm not going to say the 5-letter word that starts with a B and rhymes with itch, but as we used to say, they are our, itches. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that energy lasted a decade. Easily. They won a few times, but they were scared. And that's because you have this energy y'all not willing to go where we willing to go. Y'all didn't work like we were willing to work. And they knew it, and we knew it. That energy, these are the games where you start being like, and by the way, it gets close to ego. It gets close to conceited, but you need to walk that edge. I got an OU on my chest, bro. you got a temple on your chest. You can't see me. That's a part of the game that I hope they have the week of practice that gives them the gumption to be like, see us. You know what I'm saying? And so that part I think is really important this week. Obviously, now I'm going to turn back into my nerd side. The X's and O's and making sure guys are at the proper depth. You know, when the play is there, make it, and then go be special. Looking forward to the pregame. You should probably have like 10 games queued up that we're going to do scores on. You know what I'm saying? So that we can do a segment of this where we're just talking about those games and we'll do spreads or whatever. I think that'll be fun. And I think a lot of people bet. And so it'll be a cool kind of see how we do, how our wagers would be in those scenarios. Yeah, late night joint. Appreciate you guys for being. I think we had like 150. We had 150 people on or something like that. I don't know. We didn't see. I always try to keep it up on my phone. Yeah, we still got 136 on live with us now.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, good episode.
Yeah, shout out you guys, man.
Looking forward to see Dobie play. I think he plays. I think Giovanni plays. I do. I think both of those guys are healthy enough to play. I think Fasusi plays. I think unless the injury is an injury and not an owie. If he has an owie, he plays. Like, in other words, as long as someone doesn't like fold him, the injury doesn't get worse. If it's just a little sore, I think he plays. Takes a couple ibuprofen, gets a spat, and plays. He needs the reps. Now, who's the other person that got hurt? Someone else got hurt.
Let me see. Yeah, Blaylock is going to be interesting. I wonder if they play. They probably do. You know, that was. I guess we can say it now because I know it's public. You know,
it's Gentry.
I
don't know about that.
Yeah, Gentry. We'll see. With Blaylock, guys, it was interesting. Like, I remember first part of the week, it was he's got some broken bones, and then by like midweek, it was like, and everybody was hearing that, right? There's some people on other sites who was hearing like he shattered his collarbone, just not so. It's funny how word gets around sometimes. But guys, thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully, a little reprieve from the chaos of the day. Man, hug your family, hug your friends, tell them you love them. If you guys aren't believers, man, find Christ. Very important. But I really appreciate just all the love, all of the general sentiments and kind words, even the polite, eloquently placed rib every now and again from the Sooner faithful who joined us on the podcast. But guys, go follow social media. Go over to OU Insider, OUinsider.com. Get yourself a membership. We're posting and interacting over there, probably now more than ever before in terms of just interacting with the board. The board's been on fire lately, man. A lot of good threads being posted over there. The stuff that's sticky, the stuff that's up at the top, really great content. So if you guys want to keep up with everything going on in recruiting, everything going on in practice, the injuries, all that stuff, go to OU Insider, OUinsider.com. Grab yourself a membership and make sure you're tuned in. Subscribe, share, like the show, all that stuff. Sooner Nation, thank you for tuning in. We will see you soon.